All right, everybody, we're going to start in 1 minute. All right, Susan, are you on there? Susan,
Yes,
are
I'm
you
here.
there?
Morning.
All right, yep, we can hear you. All right, guys, we're quiet down here so we can hear Susan. All right, Susan, go ahead.
Well, you all are very good to send us topic ideas, and I'm going back to one that came, I believe, through Christy and then through Thomasina back in June. So I don't know if it's still of interest, but we will talk about it. And the scenario was parents who want to buy a property for their son or daughter, and they had questions about whether or not they should add the son or daughter to title to the property, and then what would be the considerations. I'm not saying that you as the agent should feel like you're responsible to have all the answers for the parents, but it might be good just to know some of the questions in this scenario that they should consider for themselves. Some are practical considerations, some relate to their mortgage, some relate to their tax situation. Practical considerations in any family, what are they expecting the son to do? Is he going to be paying a certain amount of money every month as rent or towards the mortgage? What if he doesn't uphold his end of the deal? How likely is that he wouldn't? And if he didn't, are the parents prepared to do it themselves, and maybe get tenants in the property or something? And then what about maintenance? Are they expecting the son to maintain this property? If not, what are the arrangements? What about roommates? Are they consenting to roommates? If so, what kind of roommate agreement or sublease type of agreement are the parents and the son going to be using with the future roommates to make sure things don't get out of hand? And then a title consideration is how creditworthy is the son? Because I'm envisioning somebody who's like right out of school or something and isn't established yet. What if he makes a bad decision financially, gets sued, there's a judgment? That if he's on title, that judgment is going to attach to the title of the property, and that's something that needs to be kept in the back of the parent's mind. If it's a young person, what if he decides to leave the area, get a job somewhere else? Do the parents really want to keep the property as a rental? So I would recommend, if the parents do feel like this child, son or daughter, is well positioned financially, has a good job, just needs time to build his credit, and this isn't going to be kind of a long dragged out thing with possible disaster, that if they are going to add him to title, they should enter into some sort of maybe even a written agreement, an ownership agreement addressing which party is going to be responsible for what in terms of maintenance, dealing with roommates, tax write-off on the property, division of proceeds in the event of a sale. And I know that's a lot for in a parent-child relationship to think about. So I'm just throwing it out there for consideration of things that they should think about. Another thing that and this may be a question if one of the lenders is present, I was wondering if the parents were inclined to add the child to title, whether or not, and the child doesn't qualify for a loan, they don't have bad credit, they just don't have credit, haven't established it yet. If they would be allowed, if the son or daughter would be allowed to be on the mortgage, because I'm thinking if they were, it would certainly help build the child's credit and position them better to be able to refinance and maybe even position it to be an owner-occupant loan. So I hate to put anybody on the spot, but I didn't know if one of the lenders wanted to speak to that, or if that's something you'd have to look into.
Were you were you saying that they would qualify for the mortgage and then ask the mortgage company to add the child onto the loan with them?
I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like right up front, if the child could be on, even though he doesn't have enough credit to really do anything, he's not going to hurt anything. Would that be something that would be allowed under?
As a co-applicant.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, he could, as long as the credit would hold for the parents with him on there, as long as the credit would hold, because it would be a conglomerate, you know, of all.
Mhm.
But yeah, he would be the lowest. But if they had a high enough credit score, yes, and depending on the
Mhm.
bank, he definitely could.
Mhm. And I wonder if it would count as an owner occupant mortgage in that case, or if it's still going to be considered an investment.
Wait, hold on. What did you say, Susan?
Oh, I was going to say, could it then be turned into an owner occupant mortgage, or would it still have to be treated as an investment loan since it's not really the son's credit?
Well, if he's on there, it could definitely be an owner occupant, but they're saying also, I'm bringing Jessica up here so she could talk, but they're saying
Right.
also that it could possibly negate the grant.
Yeah,
The
so
grant.
we just, like, I just had someone actually just close the beginning of, or the end of last month. We looked at all those options. You can do a non-occupant co-borrower where the child could buy it as their primary residence, not using any income, just using their credit, as long as they qualify credit-wise. But the thing you have to consider then too is that eventually, if they decide they actually want to buy their own home, then they would lose the opportunity to use any first-time home buyer programs, grants, or anything like that. So we chose
see.
to go investment property to save them later down the road.
Got it. Good. Thanks, Jessica. That's
Does that
helpful.
help?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to chime in on anything with that? If so, come on up. No? No, we're good. Okay. All right. The other lenders are agreeing, same
Okay.
situation.
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
No credit score program, but they're expensive because they're high risk. So they qualify for that.
You still disqualify.
Right.
Or so they're going to get entitled to disqualify.
Right.
Yeah, but there's no benefit to that. I mean, if the parents aren't qualified for the house, there's no reason to be in that scenario.
Okay, so that, they're just saying that it would possibly disqualify them from the grant, you know, depending on which grant it is and
Mhm,
what's wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of the next step on the thing is when the son is assuming that this works out and he's later ready to qualify, you know, how should that transaction be structured? A, from a tax standpoint, and B, from a lending standpoint. And I would suggest that the parents in that scenario, definitely the parents and the son need to strategize with the lender and their accountant before doing however they're going to do it, whether it's going to be to sell the property to the son, maybe with a gift of equity so that he doesn't have to come up with the down payment. I've seen that done in the past. The fairly recent past, I assume that that's still allowed under lending rules where it's a family member. You know, in the contract, you have price, but then the down payment amount is shown as a gift of equity, say if it's a 20% down payment or whatever, so that the son doesn't have to come up with the down payment. And maybe then if they haven't already added him to title, you know, he would perhaps qualify for, I don't know if he'd need the grant in that case, if they do the gift of equity. But anyway, I hadn't thought about the grant when I was, you know, writing up these notes for myself to talk to you about this today. I mean, I guess they could also gift the property to the son, but that is something where I would want them to talk with their accountant about, you know, are they going to have to file a gift tax return? I doubt there'd be any gift tax that they have to pay. Is it going to, you know, if they've been depreciating the home, is it going to give the son a tax basis that would be disadvantageous to him? But is that going to be, you know, okay because he's going to live in it? So I do think there are a bunch of different questions, tax-wise and mortgage-wise, before they decide what they're going to do when the son is able to qualify later on down the road, whether to gift it to him or sell it to him under one of these other scenarios. So those are my points. I don't know if that's particularly helpful to you all, but just some things that you can be thinking about to sound, you know, knowledgeable when you're talking to parents who may be wanting to buy. We're in a college town here, various colleges, and that, this is not out of the question. In fact, Austin and I have worked with parents buying homes for their sons or daughters in the ODU area, with roommate agreements. I'm sure Brett has too. So these things really are relevant in our area here. So any other questions on that? If not, Austin has a part B with a different topic that we were going to address briefly as well.
Any questions on that here? With everybody here?
Thanks to the lenders for your input. So.
Nope, doesn't look like, I don't see anything in the chat either, Susan. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and well, before we move on too, I think it probably would help to even talk about this, because it's a conversation I have. It's usually in a context of a couple that's not married yet buying a home, or somebody's buying and maybe the fiance, for whatever, maybe it's a VA loan, the fiance is not allowed to be on title. And the conversation comes up, well, can I go ahead and just add them to the deed? And I think the same, discussion that I have with them would apply in this context. Once you add someone to the deed, they become an owner of that property. And, there is a possibility, and I'd just like to have that conversation that, well, what if things go wrong? What if things go south? You guys have a disagreement between the parties. You can't just evict somebody who's an owner of the property from that property, even if it is you paid everything, all the funds for the purchase, all the monthly payments have come from your own funds, and they're just, essentially squatting on the property, in one sense of the term, not the legal sense, but you can't evict somebody if their name's on the deed at that point. They're an owner. You're going to need their signature to sell the property outside of court intervention. So just, having wrapped your mind around that possibility that once you add someone to title, now there is, like I mentioned, you can seek redress from the court, and I think a court will grant you that relief, but that's, thousands of dollars down the road and time and money spent. So that's just something else I would advise parents to consider. But yeah, moving on from that. So we had another question on irrevocable trusts, and it's not something that we see very often. But as the name, as you hear in the name, the revocable living trust is what we see often. Folks are using this for estate planning. This, with the baby boomers coming of age, we're seeing a lot of folks planning for the transfer of wealth. And so what we're seeing typically is the revocable trust, where folks have, they want to avoid probate. They want to provide for an orderly transfer of their assets to their children, grandchildren, what have you. And so we're typically seeing those through the revocable trust route, but there is the irrevocable trust route, which is basically where somebody puts a trust into effect that at that point is outside of some limited circumstances not going to be revocable. And it's very difficult to change or amend those trusts once they're established. And essentially somebody is just taking assets out of their name and they're putting it in the hands of somebody else. So the trustee in an irrevocable trust is somebody else other than the grantor. So the revocable trust is usually it's got the same person wearing all the hats: the grantor, the person who sets it up, the trustee who manages it, and the beneficiary for whom it's managed are all going to be the same person under the revocable trust. But in the irrevocable trust, the trustee is obviously often going to be somebody else. It can be a child, an attorney, a trust company, but certain trusts, you can't even have somebody that, a company that is under the control of the grantor, or a child or a spouse of the grantor. It's going to have to be somebody separate and distinct from them, so that it can't be shown that they actually have control over those, over what's in the trust. It's going to have a separate tax ID number. So under a revocable trust, it's often the grantor Social Security number that's just going to be used when they sell property out of the revocable trust. It's just going to have their social on it. The irrevocable trust, though, is going to have its own tax ID number. And it's going to file its own tax return if it earned income. For our purposes, when a sale is happening out of an irrevocable trust, the proceeds are going to have to go into that separate bank account. We'll see sometimes there's instances where with a revocable trust where folks set these up, they don't fund them right, and they've got a revocable trust in place, and they put the home in there, but they never set up a bank account. And there's some instances where, okay, maybe we can have proceeds from the sale of that home go into a personal bank account after looking at a few factors. But with an irrevocable trust, that's typically not going to be the case. There's some creditor protection. So that's one of the reasons that folks will set these irrevocable trusts up, is if there's a significant amount of creditors in place, or maybe they've led a lifestyle that, they can see that that's going to be an issue for them. So if they have these self-settled spendthrift trusts in place, after 5 years, new creditors would not be able to do anything to attach to those funds, barring certain circumstances are met. So for our purposes, though, and I'll say this, what should be triggered, and we talk about this all the time, is when you guys go to list property, and you'll see the tax records show that the property is vested in some other way other than with the folks that you're dealing with. You're going to see an LLC, the revocable trust or trust revocable trust mentioned that the property being vested in there. That should trigger in you. Okay, there's something different out of the ordinary here. And we always, hey, reach out to us, ping us, say, hey, this is what we're looking at here. Who do we need to have sign, or who's the person? How do we list the seller on the property? And we're always available to answer those questions. We'll take a look at, what's been recorded, how the trust reads, what the provisions are, who the trustees are. We're ready to answer those questions so that you can say, hey, this is, you can feel confident when listing the property that these are the folks that are going to be needed to sign the paperwork at that point, or, come closer to closing, who's going to need to sign the deed, how the proceeds need to be distributed. So yeah, that's just sort of an overview of the landscape on a revocable trust there. Did anybody have any questions on that?
Nobody. Oh, wait, we do have one. Yes. She said if they open a corporation with a child and then the mom and the dad come out of the corporation, is what possible? Can mom and dad come out of the corporation? What? And the property stays under the corporation name with the owner. Usually they dissolve a corporation before that happens and another one opens up. But Austin, can you speak to that?
Yeah, it depends on what they decide to do. I mean, there's plenty of instances where folks open up a business together and somebody sells out, or they give their interest to the children. They use it as a way to, pass assets. So that is an effective way to, plan for transfer of your assets for folks if you have a business with your children. So that would, it doesn't necessarily mean the corporation has to dissolve. But yeah, you could keep invested in the name of that entity. And obviously there could be some tax implications there if gifts are made, but yeah, that's
and if
certainly
there's
a
a loan on
possibility.
it too, right?
Right.
Usually if there's going to be
Any other questions? None here or in the chat. Go ahead, Susan.
I was going to say any loan that's in a corporation name is going to be a commercial loan, not a residential mortgage. So.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
it.
I don't think there was any questions.
Right.
You guys did great on that. We got a lot of questions. That was very thorough.
Well, thank you all so much for your support. We love working with you, and hope it's a good month.
We love working with you guys too. Thank you for everything that you guys do. We really, 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 really appreciate it. Brett, I know you're on here. I wasn't ready for you. I didn't know you were coming. You haven't been here in a while, so I don't have a slideshow for you, but I want to give you the floor because you're on here. If you
came
want
to learn
unmute and just
something.
give us.
I came to learn from Susan and Austin. All right. I'm always trying to get better and improve myself. And why not ride on their coattails?
It's
Yeah,
new.
sorry, I don't have a slide for you. I wasn't ready.
No problem. I was living life. I was living my best life this summer. In the last two meetings we've had, I was actually out of town. I was in Hawaii on one of them. But I just want to pop
Nice.
in, say good morning. We're still rock and rolling on our North Carolina closings, and I will be starting next Tuesday. We're going to start releasing more North Carolina specific Teaching Tuesday videos, which will also be
Awesome.
uploading to our YouTube channel for Thompson Law Group.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. If you want to send me the link for any of that, I can always send it out every Tuesday so people can get it here and put it on our internal Facebook page as well.
Yes, ma'am, I sure will.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brett.
You're very welcome.
All right, guys, we have Captain Mortgage up next. Come on up, Cragen.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Good. I think that's still on. Yeah.
This thing on.
Yeah, it's on.
Never met a microphone I didn't like. I don't know. That's what my wife says.
Okay.
This is actually a joke. Whatever. Great joke, Cragen.
Wah, wah.
Didn't really hit it as well as I thought it was. So we got fall coming, which is great, which means a lot more events. I was just talking with my friend that, there's so many events going on that you can't hit them all. That being said, we have a lot of events coming up. We have a 1031 exchange training coming here. It's open to all agents, all friends, all family. If you want to invite them all, it's gonna be on the 19th, which is what, next Tuesday at 11:30 here at Coastal Town. We have Ute from Town Bank. She's like, in my opinion, the #1 1031 exchange lady person, because she is so knowledgeable about it. And we've had a lot of people that were asking about it. So I made it happen. And we'd love to fill this room. I think Thomasina said we can fit 50 people in here.
Mhm.
So
Classroom style, we definitely can.
yeah, keep an eye out on the Coastal Town Facebook page for that. We have another event coming up on the same or the day after, Wednesday, the 20th. It's called Inventive Commission Growth Strategies. It's going to be at Virginia Beach Town Center. And it's social media, basically trying to teach you how to use social media because it is such a powerful platform. You all know that I do a lot of social media, so I encourage you, if you see something that I post that it resonates with you or you think that your clients would love, please share it. It not only will give them more knowledge, but it also helps the algorithm, to be honest with you. Sharing, liking, commenting always helps the algorithm. So I tell you that, a little free social media tip. If you have posts and you're posting about your listings or just solds, tell all your friends and family who they do love you. Tell them, hey, like, share, and comment. And if you ask 10 people, 2 or 3 might do it. It helps the algorithm. What that means is more, you get more views. So you're open to more people to see your content. I've had so many people recently compliment me, friends of mine, after I post or when I see them out in public, or even just associates. They're like, hey man, your social media game is killing it. And it's because of the algorithm is showing it to more people. Also, huge marketing marketplace. I encourage you all to come. It's a free event at Gather. Also on September 20th, it's from 6 to 8. You don't have to stay the whole time. Come in, pop in. It's a big marketplace. I think we got like 15 or so marketing vendors, and they're set up specifically for small businesses. So please encourage you to come, stay for 15 minutes. I think we'll have a little bit of food and some drinks and all that. So please come to that. And I'm going to put all this stuff, all these event pages in the Coastal Town Realty page. So that it's got the Eventbrite link in there, so you can all sign up for it. Okay. We have another cool event with my guy Dwayne Jenkins here. It's the 9/27, September 27th. We're going to be doing it at Calypso at the oceanfront. I think it's like 11th Street, but there is free parking. I know it's at the oceanfront, so it's a certain time of year.
Keep going.
Oh, so anyway, so there's that, and that's from 5 to 8. It's going to be just a networking happy hour with myself and Credit Kwando. And then the last thing we have coming up is on Saturday, October 6th. This is one of my most favorite events. It's a Halloween event for dogs, and it's going to be and it's Saturday, October 6th. It's not just our event; it's a huge event for different vendors and different people. Yes, ma'am. Huh? Saturday, October 7th. I know we're wrong. October 7th. Thank you, Christy, for that. We call that forceful team backup in the military. That's it's a way to, hey man, you got it wrong. But nice way of doing it. But yeah, thank you. But it's super cool because they have a dog Halloween contest. You get to dress your dog up and they have like a huge Halloween. It's literally the cutest thing ever. I don't know. It's the little Yoda dog is my favorite, but it's from 2 to 6, but I think they're doing the contest probably closer to 5 is when they did it last year. It's a great event. Like I said, at Maker's Craft in Norfolk. And that's pretty much all I have other than the market. We all know the market's crazy. We have had a little bit of relief in the last 2 weeks in rates, which has been nice to see a little bit of green and not red. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we got the chili cook-off. Can't
Yes,
wait for
in
that.
November.
That's gonna
Yes,
be
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. We just got that yesterday, thankfully. All right, Bill, come on up.
Well, good morning. How y'all doing? Couple things. I mean, the market is tough, but I wanted to give you a, I don't know, like a praise story from one of my examples that's going on. We actually did a loan for a client. She ended up getting the Chesapeake grant program of 25,000. She also got the VHCA grant. So she ended up getting into a condo of like 220 when she was really looking around 175. That's not the brag story. The brag story is she's on a ship in Norfolk, and now all of a sudden I have 30 enlisted people that want me to come do a talk with the Master Chief of all the different grant programs of how to these people to buy a house. So the reason I'm bringing that up is we just took a deal that's not going to make anybody a ton of money. And now all of a sudden you just grown your network 20 or 30. So even though this is the grinding time of, the industry that we all go through these hills and valleys, you can still hit home runs just by keep grinding, keep getting out there. Those clients that you may or may not think are going to turn into something could turn into a mountain overnight. So I encourage you that we still have all the programs. We can go down to all the low credit scores, all 3 of us offer those same programs. We're all hardworking loan officers. We're going to help get you guys qualified for your deals. I just encourage you that was actually one of the biggest things that we actually are going to be doing next week that just came out of the blue.
Yes.
So I encourage you to stay grinding. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call anytime on anything and I'll answer your questions. And I'm going to turn it over to Jess.
Thanks, Bill.
Hi, guys. I tried to come up with like a bunch of did you knows or like tip or topic things, but I didn't really have anything that we don't talk about all the time. So I actually wanted to know if there's anything that you guys are seeing that you think would be beneficial for us to know on the loan side. Because last week I had, you good? Because last week I had an agent from this office who actually, sorry.
I thought you were gonna take out the whole speaker and everything. I'm sorry.
But she did it like in slow
Sorry, guys.
motion.
I don't know if y'all saw from the video over there, but Sarah just tripped her way up here twice. Sorry. Sorry, Jess.
It was like slow motion at the
It
same time.
was.
It was like,
She's gonna sit down now. Sorry about that. All right, go ahead, Jess.
because I'm only asking that, I guess, I know it seems silly, but like last week I had a buyer or an agent from this office. We've been going back and forth with the buyer for a while, just like all of you might have done at some point now recently with offers and things. And the buyer had been working with me for, I feel like this happens, for a few months, thought we were solid, go under contract, buyer decides to shop me with Navy Federal. Again, normal, I'm used to it. It just doesn't even faze me anymore, right? And she called me and she was like, what do I do? Like, how can I help you? And I was like, how can I help you? She's like, well, if you tell me what to say to her to help support you, I'd be happy to say anything that I can to help, like to be on the team together. She's like, I just don't want her to think that I'm somehow benefiting from telling her to use you. She's like, so I don't want, sometimes people start to think, oh, well, you're getting paid by the lender to be able to use you. So how do we look like a united front, but not look like we're forcing her into something? And so we just talked kind of a little bit about a strategy. We went through the same things that I'm sure you all do if you're using any of us local lenders in here, just the benefits that it is local, the person knows us, they most likely probably took the contract because of us. So anyway, like, is there anything you're seeing that you think the lender could be doing better for you? Do you think we're all doing a great job? Are you guys getting any heat from any buyers on with the shopping process where they're saying, well, Navy Federal, and they are, Navy Federal is offering a stupid low rate in comparison to what we've got. I mean, it's stupid. The reason why they can do it is because one, most times they're not going to close in less than 30 days. They're going to close closer to 60. A lot of times they're already charging an origination fee and points, but they'll drop them right off as soon as they find out that they're already working with another lender. And then, you know, on top of it, they're just not gonna have a good experience. No one's gonna be able to get in touch with them. But when you tell that to a buyer, they just don't, I know y'all know, they just don't care. They just see the savings. So we were able to find a compromise where I couldn't get the rate Navy Federal was giving for free, which is what they did. But I was like, you know, for $600 and $20 more a month, I can do this. And the buyer was like, oh, well, that's worth it because my agent said that, you know, the listing agent that helped, you know, so like we tag teamed it. Is there anybody out, like, are you guys seeing anything different, anything worse, better? Is it just kind of all running the same as we've seen for a while now? Because I feel like
The biggest
we're like in
thing,
this rut.
yeah, the biggest thing as far as the agents, when they talk to me, is communication. So if there is something that needs to be done on your side that you need from the client, let the agent know, because the agent can get that information, and vice versa. The things that you guys see that she needs, you know, let her know too. But that's the biggest thing, because sometimes the lender only communicates with the buyers when it comes to, I need this, I need this, I need this, or I'm waiting on this, or this has to happen. If you communicate that with the agent as well, the agent can help push.
Yeah.
So there has to be a joint effort in that process. And a lot of times it's almost like the buyer, instead of having this team, has a lender and an agent, which is the typical thing out there. But for our company, we want them to have a team.
Right.
So if everybody works together and communicates, plus it helps you guys be more knowledgeable and prepared for the next buyer, to know what to tell them to be prepared for, especially if you're new in the industry, to listen to the lender as to what they need. But get the agent involved. I always hear lenders say, well, I just didn't think it was time, or I didn't want to bother the agent. No, the agent wants to be bothered because they want this to close, and they want to be brought in early, not late. They don't want to be brought in at the last minute.
Yeah.
In order for them to, okay, I haven't got this and I need it by tomorrow. Oh, crap. You know, the minute that it doesn't happen within 24 hours, let the agent know, and vice versa with the lender. You know, you guys got to communicate with the lender too. Yes.
Lenders are competing, I mean, obviously they have to take into it. And if your buyer understands you don't, then it's easy for you to persuade them, especially like getting away from the event, because everyone has a whole story or five.
Yeah.
Tell them if you're a newer agent, get with some of the senior agents and ask them for their horror stories and help, because everybody's got one.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because this was one of the first times, actually not first, but one of the most, does it few and far between does that happen. It's not y'all's job, obviously, to shop rates or shop for the buyer. However, I will say, having this exactly how this one went down, the agent was the one talking to me while she was at the home inspection with the buyer, and it did significantly help the process, versus them just feeling like I was trying to sell them on whatever, you know, like persuade them to stay with me, I guess. I think it did actually go better. Not that I'm ever going to ask anyone to do it if you're not comfortable, or like that you should do it. But in this case, it did work out that she kind of played that middleman role, because she at the same time was like, well, Navy Federal is doing this, but Jessica is already standing here answering all your questions while we're standing in this home inspection, and here's what she can do. And look how close we are, you know?
and well, the point there is Navy Fed not.
No,
You're
exactly.
not gonna get one of them
Exactly.
again.
And I think that's what,
And their percentage of closing is very low. But
But it is actually.
Right.
Can I add my 2 cents?
yeah,
I was gonna piggyback off of that, Jess. I have a lot of clients too, you know, where they're like, hey, Navy Fed, hey, Navy Fed, hey. And it drives me bonkers just as much as you guys, you know. And really what I push is the first thing that I say if they like try to shop you guys is, hey, let me reach out and like one, I do a group chat with my lender, just so the buyer it understands that you are with a team. You know, myself and my lender are your point of contacts. We're on our cell phones. We don't have office phones, or anything like that. Opening that line of communication to both, so then the buyer understands, right, both of our roles. But when we tag team, as far as all the questions or anything like that, what has really helped with my buyers fighting Navy Fed or any of the other big banks is the breakdown of all the costs up front as much as you can. So I say, hey, because I do the whole, hey, well, Navy Fed is charging you all this other stuff that you don't see. And they're like, what? And so that brings the question, back to you guys. And that kind of seals the deal for me. And there's no question after that as to why to go local, because I do 95% of VA loans. So it's really helped with, the newer agents and the agents that come across, our military, and just kind of pushing the local side and the communication side with the lender of, hey, ask the right questions of what's my breakdown? What am I looking at up front? And that makes them super comfortable from the jump.
And then also and with that, with just the fees, is that a lot of times some of the other loan officers out there will drop some of the like their HOI and taxes to
Make
make
it
their
look-
fees look less. Like I lost one a couple months ago because my fees were $1,000 more, but it's because I had inaccurate taxes and accurate homeowner insurance, where this person's putting $85 in taxes and $35 in homeowner insurance. Well, that's clearly
Right.
not the case. Who's paying that?
And I think too, that's our role too. And as a team, again, with educating, it's like, hey, this city has higher taxes than this other city. If like we have a borrower shopping multiple cities, you know what I mean? And just the education portion from the beginning, I think that really helps the borrower, especially the first time home borrower who's not from here or has no idea, to understand, oh, this city has higher taxes. So let's push in another city, just so it kind of, it's a twofold, right? Like I believe Jessica from the jump, and I don't want to shop her because I can trust her,
Yep. for
That,
sure.
that's just my experience.
Right.
And get
Right.
answers, that's already a big jump for Navy Fed, because tell them to ask Navy Fed the same question.
Right.
Good luck getting hold of it.
Right.
and
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Another thing is, don't be the reason that your clients are shopping. So I tell everybody,
Yes.
make sure that you have a good relationship with the lender that you choose. Always have a backup lender, and even a third lender if needed. That's why we have 3. But always have a good relationship with them. And if you were to get a lead from a lender, if they said to you, well, I gave them 3 agents' names and told them to shop you, whoever had the cheapest commission to go with it, how would you feel?
Yeah.
So think about that. And if that would hurt you to where you don't think that's fair, start walking in the other person's shoes, guys. Because if you don't have a good enough relationship with your lender that you can trust everything that they're doing and your backup lender, then you need to find a new lender and a new backup lender. Like, that's just how it is. But make sure that you are having that good relationship with them. A good relationship with the lender doesn't mean it's the person who will throw money in front of you, because that only lasts for a short while. It's the person who's going to give you the best customer service, because if they give you the best customer service, they're going to give your clients the best customer service. So don't be the reason that they shop. Make sure you have a good relationship and you understand the different loans and what's going on with it.
Yep, I agree. And then just because of one of the other things we talked about, the communicating with each other, if there's something happening, documents missing, something's kind of going haywire. I'll usually try, if I know it's something I can fix, I'm gonna usually try to fix it without telling anybody, you or the buyer. If it's something that I need help with, or if it's a big deal, I'm definitely gonna give you a heads up. What I also encourage though is, because I know you guys have been doing this too alongside us, and you guys have experience and can kind of give advice on like how they should maybe use their funds. Or how the best way to do things would be. But sometimes, like, I haven't had one recently where the buyer deposited a big lump of money that we thought was one thing, but it was a different. And so I had to call the agent to say, look, deposited $85,000. We thought it was the HELOC funds. It's actually just cash he took out of his company. We're gonna have the dad write a letter saying it was a, like an advance on some income. And they were like, oh, I'm not comfortable talking about this. No, I'm not saying you have to. I'm giving you a heads up on this because if they were to ask you, how should I, like, I have this money, how should I use it? I'm just telling you, it's an investment property. We can't use it as a gift. So don't say, oh, they can gift it to you, because sometimes a gift is the solution for a lot of transactions. But if you call us or we call you, it's not to ask you to get information on what's the deposit, where is it coming from? You know, it's usually just so that if they were to potentially ask you a question or advice, you kind of can help us point in the right
Yeah,
direction.
just to educate you so that
Yeah.
you stay educated as much as the client does. You don't want your client to be more educated on the loan than you are. That's not good.
But anyway, if you guys see anything or hear anything, or you have questions or an idea on how we could help you better be prepared, because I know we've been shopped for years. Like, this isn't something new. I mean, even in the lowest rate environment, people were shopping me when my rates were in the 3s. People were still shopping me to see if they could get lower. But if there's anything that you guys ever see or come across that you could share with us, I would always love to know too, because you guys still see different things than I do. So
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
absolutely. Thank you. All right. Sarah, carefully make your way up here. Carefully make your way up here.
Good morning, everyone. Just to kind of piggyback on what Jessica was talking about as far as like shopping your lenders. I'm sure the lenders know to have this conversation with the buyers, but also you as a realtor could do it too. One of the ways to keep them from shopping their lender is to have them shop their insurance, because insurance is one of the items that is factored into that monthly payment. And by working with a brokerage, aka Prosper Insurance, we have multiple carriers, so we're able to shop for the client in order to find them the best rate with the best coverage. And you
Remember, she
also
can
know they're
shop
going to be taken
every
care of.
single one except
USAA and State Farm.
Geico.
And Geico. Oh yeah, and Geico.
And Geico.
Sorry, and Geico. Yeah, we can't do Geico either.
yep.
But we've got,
Which is why we partner with them. So
right, exactly. And we've got 30 different carriers that we work with. So there's an option for someone. So realtors, lenders, let your buyer know that, like, hey, the rate isn't the only place, or the interest rate isn't the only thing that impacts it. You know, shop your insurance that could impact it, and keep them from shopping the lender's rate, and keep it as a team as well. And then just as far as, you know, last week I talked about, or last month, it feels like it was last week, talked about how we plant a tree for every policy we write, and people were like, oh my God, I didn't know this. So something else I wanted to share about Prosper and ways that we really help out our customers, our clients, is we have our own in-house claims advocacy department. Did anyone know that? Yes, you did. Yes. So what that means is we have a department that is dedicated to helping our clients if they have to call in and file a claim, if they have questions about whether they should file a claim, they talk directly to us. They don't talk to the insurance company. So if they end up not filing a claim, it never goes on their insurance record, which is really important because that can follow you around even with a non-payment. But if you do have to file a claim, our advocates are going to get you in touch with the insurance company. They're going to check in throughout the process and making sure that you're utilizing, or they're utilizing, the coverage to the highest level. So again, because we represent so many carriers, we're really advocating on behalf of the client and taking care of them. And as storm season approaches, definitely something to keep in mind. As you know, hurricane season is here, and for us, it's, you know, a little more prevalent in the September and October time. So if you've referred any of your clients to us and you know they have insurance with us, be a great thing to like touch base with them on. And just wanted to let you know your insurance company has this claims advocacy department. Make sure you got their information, so if something were to happen, you can give them a call, which gives you another reason to get in front of your sphere. And I think that's it. Any other questions? Yes.
First time to do that.
You did.
So my mother-in-law was just hit.
Oh,
Car accident.
Oh,
And
gosh.
she's fine. It was a terrible car. She's having to do all the legwork versus having to
Have-
do all, like, I didn't have to do anything.
Right. right.
She's having to do anything and fight with. They're saying, well, you call the other insurance company.
Our company's doing that?
No, no, no.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh,
No,
okay.
ours, yeah.
oh, okay.
But when I got,
Right.
you guys.
We did it for
I didn't have
you.
to do anything.
Right. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. We take care of our clients. We got a great little team, claims team and advocacy team that really knows their stuff and is super helpful. So. And we were actually able to help out one of our partners on Christmas Eve last year. He had a tree fall on his house, and our insurance rep called him right away, our claims advocate, and then they were able to get someone out to get the tree off on Christmas Eve. So again, local company, you're gonna get someone on the phone all the time. Thank you guys.
Thanks. All right, and then it's time to hear from the gecko. Or Greg.
I too actually have three policies with Prosper and have been through and know Drew and have been through the claims advocate process for some apartments that I own where someone said he fell down the stairs. That was fun. But I'm Greg with Geico, and oftentimes when we hear Geico and home closings, those of you that have had to deal with the 1-800 number, it's painful. What's unique about our office is that you get to talk to the same person all the time because I'm actually am local, and some of you have used us. But the idea is that we can take all of the hassle of dealing with the 1-800 number. And I know, especially for the lenders, that is complicated when you're looking for proof of coverage. And so as long as they have dealt with our office, we can generate that, and we do answer the phone 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday. But I also have a cell phone that never leaves my side. Ask my wife, so I can be contacted as well.
Yeah, Greg and I worked together for years before, and then he worked with my husband, obviously, until he retired. So the nice thing about this is I know where he lives.
Yes. And we do share an affection with Disney World.
Yes, we do.
So I did want to give you a little bit of information. Obviously, we're available. We at Geico, we obviously have the largest market share in Hampton Roads in terms of auto customers. So as a result of that, some 3 out of 5 customers are naturally going to price Geico homeowners, which Geico doesn't actually write homeowners. We write it through a bunch of different companies. We're very much set up just like a broker. Geico has the largest insurance agency in the United States. And so we have a whole plethora of companies to go through. But when we can combine that, it's one thing if that customer wants to buy a Sage Sure policy or home site policy from another company. But if they have Geico Auto, then you've just done a huge disservice because now they can't get the discount on their Geico Auto policy. But we know that 4 out of 10 Hampton Roads folks have Geico Auto insurance. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the market because we're actually in what is called a hard insurance market. And it's actually the hardest insurance market we've seen in over 50 years. And it's getting harder. It's not getting softer. And so it's an insurance cycle that naturally happens, but we're running into significant capacity issues. And this is not Geico. This is everybody. We're running into capacity issues, and we're running into tighter and tighter underwriting guidelines. I mean, Travelers is a very large insurance company, but they are significantly restricting the ability for new business to come to them. And they've suspended some property forms in multiple states, and they've suspended some insurance here in Virginia. But they're not alone. American Modern is another company. They are suspending it. The company that I went through with Prosper last year pulled completely out of Hampton Roads, Rockingham, and said, we're out of here. And so we're in a very, very hard insurance market. And it's not going to soften by all the predictions until at least late 2025. What's happening is the cost of doing business is climbing faster than rate increases can be implemented. And as a result, insurance companies do not want to write policies. It's not just Geico, it's State Farm, it's Allstate. Google State Farm and hit losses and hit news, and you're going to see that they've lost some $25 billion in the last 2 years. USAA suffered its first financial loss in the history of the company, and they're continuing to lose money. And so there is no indicator that this is going to get better by 2025. What does it mean for you? It means that if there are lifting, missing, or discolored shingles on the roof, it doesn't matter whether you go through me or anybody, the insurance company is going to start taking significant issue with that and demand the replacement of roofs prematurely. And so you used to be able to get by with lifting, missing, or discolored shingles. That ship has sailed, and it doesn't matter which company you go through. And then if there's certain hazards on the property, most of the time, everybody's okay with a trampoline. Most of the time, everybody's okay with a diving board. Most of the time, everybody's okay with a pit bull, but they're not okay with all three in this environment. And so those things are going to continue to compound as the market gets harder. So auto insurance is starting to rebound just a little bit. The catastrophe with homeowners is getting ready to start, and it would not be uncommon for the homeowners' prices to double. So whatever you are currently paying right now, they're probably going to double. And just a little bit of quick math on why that's happening, and then I take any questions. Reinsurance is a big deal. So if let's just call this building from a commercial building. Let's say this building's worth $10 million. And let's say that State Farm wants to insure this building. State Farm says we'll insure it for $2 million. They go reinsure the other $8 million through another company. When this building appreciates in high inflationary times, and this building is now worth 20 million, State Farm says, well, we're on the hook for 2. Now, all of a sudden, the reinsurance company is on the hook for 18 million, and they say, no, sir, we do not want that type of liability or that risk, and they're leaving the marketplace. And as a result, that's what's happening in Hampton Roads. That's the reason why we saw some carriers pull completely out of Virginia Beach. It was on the news recently, and it's going to continue to compound, especially with Hurricane Lee, that likely will have zero impact on Hampton Roads. But what are we screaming? And all the insurance
gonna
people are
die.
getting. And so the reinsurance facility and the reinsurance companies are pulling out, making it more difficult. So in any event, big picture for you, things which were okay previous. There's nothing worse than having to look at someone after they bought a home that they barely could afford and say, now you're putting a $15,000 roof on and you have 45 days to do it. And that is real. And we're going to be all companies, very, very particular about roof, those things. Yes, sir.
If I had Geico.
In this environment, I think it would be very difficult to find a carrier that would say, I'm not going to worry about it. And previously, yes, I had choices. Prosper had choices, had companies that wouldn't do inspections. Very large insurance companies that Geico writes with and Prosper writes with are now using Google Images. And they're saying, Google says that Google, according to the picture, we don't care that it's 5 years old. The roof was tore up. Well, the guy replaced it last week. Too bad. Until Google replaces it, we're out.
Yeah, you're gonna pay a lot higher.
And the non-admitted carrier, the problem is with that and this financial issues that companies are experiencing. We have the largest insurance company in America, State Farm, losing $20 billion a year in this environment. A non-admitted carrier, which there are carriers in Virginia that are this, if you insure with a non-admitted carrier and there's a catastrophe and that carrier is unable to meet its financial obligations by paying the claims, because it was non-admitted, there will be no protection for the insured. They've lost 20 billion and since this market has started, 20 billion.
B.
Yeah, well, and so, but they're not alone. Geico went unprofitable for 6 straight quarters. We're actually the only auto insurance company right now that is beginning to turn a profit, but we have not decided to grow again as a company. I mean, that's bigger than me. That's Geico is being very, very conservative, but even Progressive, who has always wanted to grow, they're shutting it down and they're not allowing customers to buy
Right.
policies. Yes. I'm sorry, what was that?
Not cover natural disasters?
Yes, so there is some talk that certain catastrophes are going to be excluded because they're becoming more prevalent. So that was in some there's actually an article that came out of a PNC specialist, which is like property and casualty, which is our industry. It was a article that was there that they're starting to say we can no longer insure these risks. It was one thing when Hurricane Andrew, which was the first storm in back then, but it happened in like late September. It's not a big deal when that happens every 4 or 5 years. We're now having an event of the century every year from the wildfires, and not just the Hawaii wildfires, because as bad as that was a small geographical area. We're talking about wildfires that spread through California and wipe out entire cities. Hurricanes, I mean, Hurricane Lee is probably going to cause significant destruction in the Northeast if it comes on shore around Maine. That's going to be catastrophic. So there's some talk that carriers will get out of insuring against those things and only insuring against fire and things like that you would have done. But Florida is a classic example. The average cost of homeowners insurance in Florida has gone from $3,000 to $10,000. And the average cost of homeowners in America as of this morning across the country is $1,700. That's up over $1,000 10 years ago in Hampton Roads. And we're averaging 1,700 to 2,200. Gone are the days of putting $50 out there and says it'll be 50 bucks a month. Not a chance in this world.
This is homeownership, this is tax.
Right.
So if there's let's say there's a situation where there's something you could pay out of your pocket, versus, making the
Yeah, so it's very much similar to what like Prosper's talking about with their claims group that they have. I tell all of my insureds, this is catastrophic coverage. You might as well take the $10,000 deductible, because if you call us for anything less, we're going to hammer you. I had a friend of mine text me Sunday morning that said, hey, just found out that all of my food has gone bad in my refrigerator and my freezer. And should I file a claim? It's $1,500. No, especially in this environment. You do not want a claim on your record in this environment, because we're looking for reasons, the industry, to get rid of you. I mean, it's very hard to comprehend, but the industry does not want to insure anyone right now. So if you do something like make a claim because you have a $10,000, and I know $10,000 seems like a lot, but I promise you in this environment over the next 5 years, we'll get $10,000 in an increase in premium. I promise. For filing the claim. Catastrophic only. The house is burned to the ground. I know that sounds crazy, but this environment. And so we're actually heading towards, because of capacity issues, an insurance crisis in some portions of America, especially Florida, where there's not going to be anyone to insure your home.
A lot of carriers are
Yeah.
and people are being dropped. I mean, I know people personally that
Mhm.
their insurance just up and dropped.
But we just had a big drop in Virginia Beach
Mhm.
from a couple of companies. They just were out.
A lot of carriers.
So because the market is so hard, and what's happening is that the cost of doing business is exceeding the rate increases that can get approved. I mean, just being frank.
Seems like all my rate increases got improved.
Yeah. Well, yeah, California
Yeah.
said you're not raising rates. So there's actually a proposition in California that says you can only raise rates 6% a year, period, 6% a year. And that's across the board. Well, what happens when you have inflationary expenses going up 25%? If you can only do 6 a year, even at 25, it's going to take you 6 years, 7 years to even get caught up. As a result of that, many carriers are exiting the California market. I mean, Kemper, which is a respected company, they said, we're out, we're done, we're no longer writing insurance anymore for preferred customers. I mean, we're in a very, very hard market. Inflation nearly bankrupted Geico in the 40s, in the 70s, most other companies as well. But I was going to tell you, those of you that have Geico auto insurance, and I'm sure a group of you do, you're experiencing significant rate increases on your policies. But Geico was one of the first to take a lot of the evasive action. I'm going to be frank, the last 3 years of my agency have been very, very difficult. Now all of the other carriers are doing what we've been doing for 3 years. And that is, we put the brakes up 3 years ago and raised rates significantly. And what I mean significantly here in Virginia, 30 to 40% rate increases on auto insurance. And we stopped the writing of new business policies. It has taken the competition until recently to start cranking down. And so we believe at Geico, we're ready to start scooping it all up because we've changed our entire process. And it's a very hard market, but where it impacts the customer is it's very important, I think, that they not choose a non-admitted carrier, that they must choose a carrier which is AM Best, highly rated, because there will be more casualties in this market over the next 18 months. And it would be terrible to be insured with a company that's not going to make it. And I think that's another reason why it's important to do business with a company like Geico, who is actually standing behind the carriers that they use. But we all use the same carriers. But if they're not on the Geico list, but they're on some other list, it may take work, worth looking at. Homeowners of America is extremely popular. But if you Google them in Texas, they're under investigation for fraud against their reinsurance facility. But those are people who we just send. And so Geico used to write through them. And we have suspended our operations with them because they're being accused of fraud and have been placed under administrative action by the Texas Department of Insurance. So we're like, okay, we're out. But everyone knows that name and they love them in Hampton Roads because they're cheap, 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 cheap. So any other questions about the market? Any other questions? Again, the biggest thing I can stress to you is you're going to see Geico Insurance Agency come across your desk. And when you're trying to get proof of coverage, or you're trying to get something changed, call my number and not the 1-800 number. And if they've already gotten a quote at Geico, it doesn't matter. Just send them to us, send me an email, and we'll go in and take it from Geico and bring it to us.
Mhm.
So it really just makes that process seamless. And then next week, when you need to change the address, you just send me an email and the address gets, or you need to change the closing date, we just change it. Not a 3-hour wait. Why is there a 3-hour wait at Geico? Because we don't want to write insurance. And that, I mean, it's call State Farm, you're going to home for 2 hours. No one wants to do business in this market. So I am offering you the path of least resistance. Someone else had a question? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I brought you some Geico goodies because we always love the Gecko. He's driving around in a red car over here on the notepad. And then I have those papers that I'll give you.
Cool.
Okay.
So if you didn't know before, you can tell by the transparency and the numbers why we've been friends for so long. We both are very much into numbers of our field. And so I think that's why we clicked in the very beginning years and years ago when we first started in management together at Geico. So he definitely has a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate that. And thank you, Greg, for the transparency. Not everybody's going to come up here and say my company doesn't want to write policies. I mean, it's just, but he's being honest in a way around it. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, Greg. We do have a little video really quickly from Tina and Maddie, maybe.
Is and there's money there. And so between agents and mortgage lenders, what they call it.
All right. And then we have Lucy coming on up. Hi, Lucy.
I have things.
Oh, okay.
I have things.
Right.
I want to piggyback a little bit on what our lenders told you about shopping and things. If you know you've got a shopping type of buyer, list all the lenders on the contracts. Because guess what? Your buyer shops, your buyer says, I want to change. The seller does not have to say yes. Okay, so if you have listed all of your possibilities on the contracts as potentials, all you have to do is notify and provide an updated approval letter. Okay. Otherwise, it's a discussion, an amendment, and crossed fingers until you get that amendment signed.
Yep. Because the other side has to agree.
No is an acceptable answer. No is an acceptable answer. No is a complete sentence. And there is nothing you or your buyer can do. Have those discussions during your buyer consultation, or at the very least, before you have them sign the contract. Who are you looking at for your loan? Who have you talked to? What are your thoughts? This is why we need to do this. If you change your mind at the home inspection because a friend of a friend gave you a number and you looked online and you got 3-week-old information that is no longer relevant, and that's what they want to go on, you're screwed. Okay. So have the conversations, be ready to put that information in the contract, protect your buyers, and save yourself a lot of time and heartache. Okay. Number 2, I'm getting a whole lot of walkthroughs coming through unsigned by sellers without a note saying yes or no, this has been sent for signature. I can require you to get the walkthrough done and signed by your client. I cannot, much as I'd love to, require the other side to sign it and send it back. All I need from you is a note in the comments section that says sent to the listing agent on this date for signature.
Because
That's all you need.
Yeah, because without it, if we go to court or anything happens, we don't have anything showing that you attempted. And that is not okay. So we have to have something in there showing you attempted, which is what the note is.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I am not going to hold up your commission. As soon as I see that come through with the note, I'm going to send you a little smiley face that says, if you get a completely signed one, please load it up. And I'm going to approve your transaction for payment.
Yep. Done and done.
Okay. Save us both some time, because otherwise I have to reject it. I have to send the question back to you. Has this been sent for signature? Then you can come back and say, yes, I sent it on this date. I've gotten no response. I'm going to come back to you and say, great, resubmit this document so I can approve it. That's a 2-day proposition in some cases when you're on the run. Take the time at the beginning when you're already there, loading it up, tell your TC, whatever the situation is, make sure all the information is there up front and we're done. Okay. Another interesting thing popped up in my email this morning from North Carolina, but I think it's relevant because it's something I had never thought of. They had a situation come up where husband and wife purchasing a house, and when the lender went through the last minute things, it came up that there was an undisclosed child support payment to an undisclosed and undocumented child. Went to the husband and said, what's this? Said, oh yeah, sorry, this is it. And they needed proof of all of that. Well, in discussing the situation and the need for an extension with the spouse was told all of this, who had not been informed of it by the husband. And this article is stating that that confidentiality has now been breached by the agent. The agent is at fault. That kind of surprised me. What a husband and wife choose to share amongst each other is still their own business. So if you only have it from one side and it has not come to you also from the other side, or it wasn't a joint discussion, do not feel free to share the information even within a marriage. That surprised me.
Yeah.
It kind of surprised me because I probably would have gotten caught in that too.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So I'm not saying I've ever run into, this was new to me. And I'm thinking, well, okay, if it's new to me, it's new to all of you too.
It's new to me.
So be aware that within a marriage, confidentiality rules still apply. You cannot assume that because one has said it and is dealing with it, the other knows about it and you can share it. Don't assume that. Do not go forth to the other side and start up a discussion about, wow, well, how do you feel about this other child? No, let's not go there. Let's just keep it all quiet. And yeah, right? Always a new wrinkle.
Thank you, North Carolina.
Always a new wrinkle. I don't think I have anything else. Does anybody have any questions?
No, nothing online either. Okay.
All right. Thank you. You can list 3 lenders. There's not enough room to list a bunch of lenders. I wouldn't go 5, 7.
You have approval letter to submit with your offer, you still have
Yeah.
backup lender name.
Yes.
Just in case.
Yes.
Yes.
An approval letter is not something that the contract requires. Just so everybody knows. The contract does not require an approval letter. The approval letter is what's required in our industry, that we've made it into something that is just assumed, but it is not part of the contract. The contract does not say that you have to submit an approval letter. The other side can request it, but the contract does not state it. Correct.
Also, right, that buyer reserves the right to change their lender and provide a new pre-approved agent.
Sure.
Not sure.
Yeah, sure.
Versus having 2-3 names within 2
Yeah.
days. or
And
something
other.
like
Yeah.
The free box, other.
Absolutely, you can do that.
Mhm.
However, If you're just very quietly listing the lenders, it's less likely to raise a red flag than, hey, the buyer is reserving this right to change lenders if they so choose. That's gonna make a listing agent go, they're not solid. I mean, think about it, if you got the listing, if you were the listing agent and you got that, you'd be like, but here's this one who's only got the one and we can say no and all of that.
I was gonna say, because I know that I've had agents do it, and it's usually one, do that only with local one.
Yeah.
They're, if you put the, they're still might not keep it up.
Or you may
Something
get
that may
that
not
back with
close.
it lined out.
Now, in this market, listing agents are. One of the-
Yeah,
They're demanding it.
it's true.
So you can help things along by providing a couple, 3 names
Mhm.
of local lenders who you know, and you can get with immediately to make things happen.
Because when I talk to the listing agent before I talk to the offer, hey, what's important to the seller, they are mentioning they want a local.
Mhm.
So
Read the room.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. Next is the admin's agenda. Carla, are you on here? There you go. You have the mic, Madea.
Good morning, everybody. Y'all are busy, keeping me extremely busy. Doing good, you're submitting everything. Just if you can help me by just texting me, because sometimes your PICRAs or your condo and POA receipts, since we have the new document, don't always end up in the right place, and I can't find them. And it does take a little while for everything to be reviewed and click in my portal that it's been reviewed and ready for me. But if you know I need to remove a contingency or do an update in the MLS, just shoot me a text to bring it to the top of my attention, because I try to get those done first in the morning. I work on MLS updates and agent commissions, because I want y'all to get paid as quickly as possible. You work hard for your money, so. And then anything that you need help with, just text me, give me a call, reach out. And I'm here. Do you all have any questions or anything that you need from me? No?
Yeah.
Believe me, as soon as I get it, I'm trying to give it
Yeah,
to you.
yeah,
I
yeah.
even
We
text
definitely don't
some of
want to,
you.
yeah, we
Yeah.
don't even want, we don't want to keep it.
Yeah. Oh, good. I try. And some of you will know, I know you're busy and I send that DA out. If I don't see it signed within an hour or so, I'm texting you, telling you it's there to be signed. So yeah, let's all keep working together. I think we're doing good.
Yeah, everybody's
right.
doing great.
All right.
Right.
That's all I got.
All right, and then Dwayne, I didn't have you on here, so I don't have a slide for you because I didn't know you were coming, but come on up and take a few minutes to chat.
Hey, everyone. See a lot of familiar faces in here. Can I use your microphone?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, y'all. For those who don't know me, name is Dwayne Jenkins with Credit Quando. We help your buyers who have credit challenges. We support lenders when they need our assistance on credit matters. And, we all have the same goal in mind, is to get our people to closing. I just want to kind of go off script and say this. I mean, there's a lot of doom and gloom in the market, and it's heavy and it's real. I mean, the insurance, good news. Thank you for all that. I got a crack in my windshield right now, man. It's the second one in 2 years. Guess I'll just pay for it out of pocket, But here's what I do want to, here's the message I do want to give you guys. At the end of the day, whether you are lending, whether you're real estate, whether you're insurance, I mean, I think most of us are on commission. We eat what we kill. And if we don't sell, we're going to feel the effects of that. I mean, is that pretty much the case for everybody in here? Okay. Well, I think that I see a lot of people, I work with a ton of lenders and realtors, and I see a lot of people focused on things that are out of their control. When are these rates going to come down? When is the market going to turn around? When is the inventory going to replenish itself? And I think that the people that I still see making it are the ones that are focused on the things that are in their control. Even I am a victim to this. I mean, there's things in my industry that just keep me up late at night. And I'm like, man, I've got to stay focused and not let these very real scary things become a distraction. Okay. There's recently a situation with another lender where an agent wanted to meet me and a lender. Well, you know, lenders are at the top of my food chain. I would think agents are at the top of lenders' food chain. In this situation, I was willing to physically drive further to do lunch with an agent than the lender was. You know, I'm not sure what that has to do with the market or listings or anything like that. But I think that what I see, that is a symptom of us being distracted by things that are out of our control. So I just think that everything in the marketplace, if we could look at the silver lining in the cloud, it's just a call to action to get back to the basics. I mean, hell, I've never been a lender, but I mean, we've got two of them in the room right now. I mean, back when we had a refi boom, I don't think the skill set was lending. I think the skill set was answering the phone or returning a call or a text message. I mean, is there truth to that? So now that we don't have that, I mean, I think that, you know, we need to get back to the basics and the fundamentals. And it's going to be great because when the boom market comes back, you're going to have your systems in place to actually take advantage of it. I know some lenders that didn't even want all the business that was falling in their lap, you know, 2 years ago. Now we would love to have some of it. And just to piggyback off of the lenders, Cragen's gone, but Bill and Jessica, I can personally attest to their quality and integrity as lenders. I mean, if you're an agent, I know everybody's trying to get in your pockets. You're like, man, I'm gonna stick with what I know. Should I use this new guy? You know, I know Thomasine is telling me to. I can speak to the lenders in this room. In fact, one of the most difficult deals I've ever had to get done came from Bill Loudon. I don't know if you remember that. That was like, I tell that story to everybody. That was like one of the only deals where I literally had, hell, I can't get clients to call me when I want to speak to them, but the builder was actually calling me daily in that situation.
Crazy.
But we got it done.
We did.
That's crazy.
Didn't help us in any way, shape, or form.
Can't even get a Google review out of her, but hell, we got it done, didn't we? You know,
Y'all should give each other a Google review on that one. Honestly, give each other a Google review on that one.
You
At least
know.
you'll both get one from it.
Exactly. And I mean, 1,000,001 deals done with Jessica over here. I mean, and you know, when they're sending me leads, these are people that other lenders have honestly given up on, or maybe it's a situation where hell, they don't have a 640 credit score. I don't want to deal with it. And the problem with letting those deals slip in the cracks is because those are commissions that can ultimately come back in your pocket. So if you're dealing with a lender that wants to take somebody that they can't even benefit from, knowing that the commission only, send them to me and get delayed gratification on it, then that's a lender where you know they're going to be doing the things where you just have to trust somebody and check on them. You know, when I take my car to the dealership, hell, they could take me back there, point at the things they're working on. I don't know if they're telling me the truth or not. I don't know what I'm looking at. But, you know, you look for those clues to say, hey, this is somebody that I could put my blind trust and faith in. I can tell you from firsthand experience, Cragen, Jessica, and Bill are 3 lenders that you can actually trust. You know, I know the deal. I know how it works. You may have somebody else that you work with. At least give these guys a shot if you have not worked with them before, or at least put them in your rotation. They are worth their weight in gold, right? Now, as far as credit, again, same message. Let's stick to the basics. I'm seeing a lot of people so distracted by the interest rates that they're saying, hey, let me wait to buy. And in the meanwhile, they're not keeping the same eye on their credit score. And we're coming up into the worst season of the year for credit. And that's going to be the holiday season where people want to overspend. You know, they want to put things on a credit card. And then an opportunity for a property comes up in March, and they're still paying not only for the Christmas that just happened, but 3 Christmases ago. That damn fingerhead account, right? You know, where you pay $80 for a $20 set of silverware, right? So all these things. So just remind your clients to stay focused. Everybody in this room has a credit report. Stay focused. We have the same temptations, even I do. But, you know, we just had a situation with Cragen where we had a client sent to me with a 550 credit score. It's about February when they started with us. We couldn't get them on the phone. They stopped paying us. They went back to Cragen and they said, hey, can I get a deal? Cragen pulls a report. Cragen has them at a 618 credit score. And the details of that person's situation and what they qualify for, they need all 620 points. It's not an exception that could be made to get 2 points. It's not a max out credit card. So they didn't get the credit card when we told them to get the credit card. It's not a credit card up there. So that's an example again of your lenders going back and forth. And now Craig can circle the customer back to me, and he's going to sign up again to get 2 points from somewhere. Could have been the closing. But again, these are situations where the lenders in this room go out of their way to provide communications on deals that they're not going to get paid for immediately. Those are the lenders you should be giving your other deals to as well. They will see the deal through to closing.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you, thank you,
All right.
thank you. All right, we do have a video. This will be on the screens outside, so don't worry if you miss it. It's gonna have everything in it, from birthdays to training to top agents. We're also gonna send out an email, and you will see it on our Facebook page. So let's take a look. These will be up on the screens every month. It's our new video that's going to be running, and on our Facebook group and in video as well. So please feel free to share if you ever do want to invite other agents as well. Had a lot of production last month, guys. Round of applause for all those closings, guys. That was great. Round of applause for our top teams and top agents. $1 Million Club. And our anniversary is coming up. 13 years, David. That's awesome. Round of applause for David. That's great. 2 new agents that have come. And our cappers from last month. Stacy just capped this month too, but it's this month, so she'll be on the next one. And then our happy birthdays. Today is Carla's birthday and Lily's birthday. So today, if you see either one of them, tell them happy birthday. And we also have 2 big events that are going to be coming up. Our annual fall festival, which is October 18th, 5 to 8 p.m. here. And we're going to have some pumpkin painting. The kids are invited. Your significant other, spouses, you know, you get a +1. Sister, brother, doesn't really matter. We don't really care. But you can bring a +1 plus any of the kiddos. It'll be fun. There'll be a contest for best costumes, funniest costumes, same one that we do every single year, which is going to be a great time. And then just, you know, mark your calendars. We do have our Christmas party, December 18th, 12 to 3 p.m. It's going to be here. Greg actually has talked to me about, we may even do for the Halloween, we might do a, because at Christmas we do the gingerbread houses. He has found, if we can get enough, he has found houses for Halloween. So I know you guys always love the freaking, you know, Christmas one. Wait till you see the Halloween one. It was pretty neat. So if we can get enough, we're thinking about doing that for Halloween too, with another contest for that. And then Matt is here. I saw him out there hooking up. So if you want one-on-one time with Matt to help with your HomeSnap or homes.com, please see him. He is out there and ready to go. And we're going to close in prayer, and that is the end of our meeting. We're actually 7 minutes early, and I'm not going to take a 7-minute prayer, so we're going to be early today. Lord, thank you so much for every single vendor that is here. Thank you for their transparency, their hard work ethic. Thank you for their dedication to us. I pray that our agents can repay that tenfold, that their loyalty and dedication to the lenders can be not only matched, but more. We appreciate everybody that you put in front of us. We are blessed with everyone that walks through that door, and it is because of you. This business is all for you, Lord. Thank you so much, and just please be with the ones that are not here today. Be with family members. You know who they are, of all of ours that need help or love or guidance, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, go out, be prosperous, and I will see you either around the office or out there at an event. Thank you all. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.